in court.
I just want everybody to know that I am innocent. I am innocent. I am innocent. Okay? I'm really, this is hard. It's so hard for me. It's a nightmare. It's just a nightmare. Okay, this happens a nightmare. And Gary was my husband. Okay? Gary was my husband.
That you killed.
The father of my children.
You murderer. You murderer. Oh God, sorry, excuse me. Welcome back, everybody. It's your boy AKJ coming to you live with an all new video. So today we're gonna be watching another channel that I found recently. It's called That Chapter, I think. Well, I'll tell you at the end what and I've been looking at this YouTube video for the past 2 days now. But I think it's called That Chapter, where he looks at like very interesting cases that serial killers and whatever the case may be. But I came across another one I haven't watched yet, but the title kind of caught my eye to it. It's called The Explosive Case of Gary, and I cannot see his last name. Triano. Nope, not gonna guess. But his first name is Gary. So let's just start there. So it's gonna be another reaction video. So here we go. It's gonna be a long one, guys.
Hey you, and welcome. My name's Mike, and in this whole video, here. Where are we off to this time? How about not Tucson, Arizona. There lived Gary Triano. Mr.
Triano.
You want a house? He'll sell you a house. Now Gary, he had a partner. He had quite a few, actually, but this one particular partner, if you messed with her, it got explosive. And in this story, quite literally, a story which would go on for almost 2 decades. In this story, you got it all, right? You got some bitterness, you got some incriminating phone calls, and you got a guy named Ron. What more could you ask for? So let's give it a go. November 1st, 1996 was a good day in Arizona. For some. That day, a mystery that would roll on for almost 20 years started with a bang. Gary Triano, a Tucsonian, born and bred, successful real estate developer and businessman, was playing golf. 4 or whatever golfers say, something like that. That day was about 21 degrees. Nice, real nice. This was in the late afternoon, and Gary was at the La Paloma Country Club. Hey, members only. And after that, he was going to head off and meet some friends for a surprise party. The surprise was for him. He would actually turn 53 later that week. At about 5:30 p.m., he walked into the car park, shot the shit with a passerby there, and then climbed into the 1989 Lincoln Town car he borrowed from a friend. Inside the car, someone also sitting in a car nearby noticed Gary seemed surprised to see a blue canvas bag sitting on the passenger seat. He reached in and grabbed what looked like maybe a cigar case, and there was a flash, a bang, and Gary Triano was ripped apart. Gary was known around Tucson as Mr. Big Balls, the big shot, big guy for you. And as most people, I guess, who are kind of like that, it's either his way or the highway. A powerful presence around Tucson. If you did business, you knew Gary. But charismatic and charmer, a guy you'd like to rub elbows with when you're, talking stocks, buy low, sell high, golf, mansions, DUIs, rich people things, Gary Gaza, he was also a family man. He had 5 different kids from 3 different women. He was married twice, 2 kids apiece, and his 5th child was with his ex-girlfriend. Robin Gardner, 21 years his junior. As I said, he was a charmer, generous, loved kids, family, and was respected, loved, and a good tipper in Tucson. Actually, you know what? The way he went kind of suited him. He was a big deal. But someone planted a bomb in his car, and on November 1st, he was killed instantly. The bomb made shite of the Lincoln, and also of Gary. It was obvious this was like a assassination from the very beginning. I fucking hope so. And so the investigation began. A car exploding at a very upscale country club, definitely, headline news, alright. Not to mention who was in the car.
I've never seen an assassination of this kind. If in fact it was a hit, it probably was a professional hit.
ATF, FBI, the whole shebang were involved, and they started having a go at what remained of the explosive device. It was homemade, a pipe bomb, and it was detonated via a remote, so therefore, whoever done was probably watching Gary as he climbed into the Lincoln, probably was following him, maybe for at least that day, maybe for a while, waiting for, the opportune moment. Hence, they didn't actually break into his car though. Gary, he was the big, bubbly personality. He didn't lock his doors, his car. So getting at him wouldn't have been terribly difficult. In fact, that very day, someone had called the country club, asking if Gary was there. That person was never identified. But who would be the, likely suspects? Well, he wasn't necessarily involved in some shady shit, in his various business dealings, but he was involved with some high rollers, and, some business projects were not, going too good. He was also seriously, struggling, and it made some people very unhappy in both his personal and professional life. An angry ex-wife, an angry ex-girlfriend, native casinos, Vegas casinos, Chinese investors. He owed a lot of money, and in 1994, filed for bankruptcy to the tune of $40 million. He also owed money all over the shop. So he'd been married to his first wife, Mary, for years. Had 2 kids with her before he left her for a younger woman. His second wife, Pam Phillips, also in real estate. And it was rumored, by the way, that she was the one who broke up his first marriage. Although then again, that's laying the blame at her feet when he was the one who was actually married. But I digress. She kind of, dollar sign eyeballs. Apparently she was a gold digger who wanted what was in his bank account. But what she got was, that. Also 2 kids and an acrimonious divorce after Gary made some poor business decisions and even poorer gambling ones. She sought 3 restraining orders against him and claimed that he was prone to violence, though she could be too. She had moved all the way to Aspen, raising her 2 children there, children Gary sorely missed. In fact, Gary's first wife, Mary, it seems like, I'm not sure if he should have divorced her actually, because she seems to be one of the few women he had a pretty good relationship with. And she would give Gary money so that he could give that money to Pam to pay for child support, so that Gary wouldn't get locked up. That's how broke he was. He couldn't even afford that. There was also Robin Gardner, who had a child with Gary, and Gary refused to marry her. That led to accusations of abuse and violence between the two. In fact, in 1995, a year before things went kaput, Gary called 911 on her. Pam lived in Aspen, home of,
Nancy Pfister.
at the time, 800 miles away. Robin, she could get, angry, but plant a bomb, not her style. And his first wife, Mary, as I said, they kept a good relationship after they divorced and didn't seem to have any issues. So who would bomb Gary? I mean, was this like revenge? Sending a message for some bad business dealings? I mean, hey, unless he was banging somebody's wife, you're probably worth more, alive than dead when it comes to, But what if he was worth more dead than alive? You know where this is going. Pam lived in Aspen, right, with her 2 kids, and she was on the hunt. She was on the prowl, the hunt for a new husband. A friend would say, that Pam had told him, this guy better be worth at least $20 million. Only worth $19 million? Hit the bricks, pleb. She was, quote, down to her last $60,000, and she needed a cash injection. Because she wasn't getting a job. No, sir. Pam was, used to a certain lifestyle. And she just wasn't not having it. She just wasn't having it. And in October 1996, Gary said he thought he was being followed. Why? He had a $2 million life insurance policy. His kids, the beneficiary. His kids by Pam Phillips, that is. So, the investigation pointed towards her. However, Pam was all the way up in Aspen, and she was on the prowl for a few dollars more. Bombing someone? Wasn't really something she would do, they thought. But maybe someone she was acquainted with would. A guy named Ron Young had become known to the Aspen Police Department, as he had defrauded a number of businesses in the area. As the police were made aware and tried to track him down, he fled and went to California. Or at least that's what they, thought, because they never actually found him. They only found his van, where he would carry out his petty, small crimes from, all that bullshit. The van was found in Yorba Linda, Southern California. Inside, they found a shotgun and a taser. Also found were documents about Pam and Gary's divorce, a map of Tucson, and a list of cars driven by Gary and those closest to him. Not only that, they found a hotel receipt right from Tucson during the summer before Gary was blown up. And Ron had rented that room under a fake name, Ron Phillips. Now, Pam was one of the people who claimed to have been defrauded by Ron. See, Pam, she was mad into astrology, and she had set up a company called Star Babies. And Ron had helped set her up and then ripped her off and fucked off. She reported that to the police and then never really followed up on it. And maybe, just maybe, their relationship was a little bit more than helping her set up her Star Babies site, nudge nudge, wink wink. Though obviously he wasn't her type, or his bank account wasn't her type. So when Aspen police learned of all this, they contacted Tucson police. But there was no evidence he was in Tucson when Gary was killed or anything linking him to a bomb. But regardless, he disappeared in California. Pam was questioned 3 times.
Something that's come up that I wanted to ask you about.
She gotcha.
Is your relationship with Ron Young?
Yeah. So we have a relationship. Right.
Okay. Tell me what it is then.
He's a guy from Aspen. God, how did his name come up?
Are you aware that there's an arrest warrant out for him?
No.
Ron disappeared, and the case went cold. Pam got her money, meant for the kids, but they were underage, so she got it. Oh, mamma mia, what happened there? And in Tucson, the rumor mill swirled around about who could have killed the big dog himself. It was 9 full years after the explosion that something happened.
Our next case is a baffling mystery.
In 2005, America's Most Wanted showed the Gary Triano case and asked the public to be on the lookout for Ronald Kelly Young. They done looked, and Ron was found all the way over in Florida. Ron's chiropractor was the one that called in.
What's your name? What's your name, man? I asked you your name.
Ron Young.
Huh? Ron Young.
He was arrested.
Do you have anything to do with that bomb?
No. I had no reason to blow up anybody or kill anybody.
In Ron's apartment, he kind of did their job for them because he held onto a lot. Tracking receipts, emails, and phone recordings he had made in secret.
Why would you do that?
That were between him and Pam.
I just, with you, I want to help you out. I just want to be at our original get you as much and as quick as I possibly can.
I helped you on something that was, beyond what anybody else in the world would probably do. No reason not to trust this line wrong, is there?
You know what? I have no idea.
Our original understanding was that whatever I knew about you or you about me, that would stay quite confidential no matter what, right?
So?
Any reason to believe that I should be concerned that you have not lived up to that?
No.
Because you used to throw around the concept you told me originally with the police a year ago or a year and a half ago about blackmail and stuff like that. So you haven't been sharing that concept with anybody at all. You're going to be very serious. When you sit in a women's prison for murdering,
Hang up, I'll be back at 4.
you're about to be really sad.
I'm gonna be back at 4.
No, you're going to be in prison for murder. I'm really happy that you won my 6 was tax-free. You compromised me for your benefit. That'd be really unfortunate for you because there's just plenty of stuff that they just literally dig out of the ground.
And well,
The life of crime does not pay, folks. Stay away from that stuff.
Ron's
Just
got
use it.
400,000, and maybe he was asking for a little bit more. She was sending him money regularly, though there were recordings he had made were, well, his insurance policy and also, I guess we could say, blackmail to make sure, Now, at that time, Ron got 10 months for weapons charges, but the case against him for Gary's murder needed more. They needed more on Pam, too. Prosecutors needed more. Wouldn't get it just yet, though. And so Gary's children, in 2007, they filed a wrongful death suit against Ron and Pam. Now, this is kind of like, remember in the Shirley Carter, Jason Carter case? They filed a civil death suit. They weren't expecting to get, a payday or anything like that. It was more like to give, the authorities a bit of a kick up the arse there now. It worked. 1 year later, Ron, who was out after serving his 10 months, was arrested for Gary's murder.
Mr. Young, how does it feel to be back in Tucson, sir?
Well, not so good.
Did you kill Gary Triano, sir? Did you place that bomb?
No, of course not. Where's Pamela Phillips? Is she your accomplice?
Hey, good question. Now, where was Pam? Neither hide nor hair of her could be found in Aspen. Nor just the United States in general. In Pam's absence, Gary's children, well, 3 of them, Pam's children didn't partake, obviously. And they actually missed out because, the judge and jury sided with Gary's children. Like I said, not that they were ever going to see a penny of this, but officially, they were awarded $10 million. So Ron, he was sweated out, in a Tucson jail.
And they're never gonna see that money.
A warrant was out. Well, she was living it up in the old world. Vienna. She had been in Europe for a year, first in Switzerland, then Austria. She was tracked by European authorities and then extradited back to Arizona, but not before Ron would have his day in court. In February 2010, the prosecution argued successfully that Ron Young followed Gary Triano and planted a bomb in his car that killed him. He did so at the behest of Pam, who paid him over $400,000. In March of 2010, he was found guilty of first-degree murder and conspiracy to commit murder and was sentenced to life in prison. Pam was brought back and pled not guilty. It wouldn't be going to trial, though, anytime soon. Pam was ruled incompetent to stand trial for a while. Said she was paranoid. It's self-described as crazy. She had tracking devices on her passport, which I guess is kind of true, but she also had tracking devices in her brain, and she needed a tinfoil hat. All that sort of mad shit. They played along, for a bit until they were like, are we kind of fucking pissing us off now? And in February 2012, she was ruled competent and it's like, batter up.
A car bomb ex-wife, one of our area's most notorious murders, is about to go to trial.
A car bomb killed Gary Triano almost 18 years ago. Soon, his ex-wife, Pamela Phillips, will go to trial on a charge of hiring a hitman to do the dirty work.
Prosecutors say they have evidence of a man named Ronald Young pressuring Phillips for payment in a way that could only be a hitman pushing to collect.
It would be 17 years after Gary's murder that Pam would go on trial for it in February 2014. The defense said the police had tunnel vision, that the life insurance just painted a bullseye on her. They had no hard evidence putting Pam or Ron there, or them being the ones that did it, that worked on the bomb and detonated it. They pointed the finger at someone else, a businessman that Gary had a rough relationship with, who was a drug addict and loved remote control vehicles that would have, been made of the same components as the bomb. He was also conveniently dead now.
So there's people out there that are angry with him and have something to gain more. And remember, benefit can be driven by revenge.
The prosecution had the phone calls, the general evidence, and witnesses who told that Pam had spoken about murder for hire before.
She said, Kevin, I'm down to my last $60,000. What should I do? And I said, get a job.
And at one point in time, she made statements to her friends that she could have Gary taken out. She was that frustrated and angry with things going on.
On April 2nd, 2014, the trial came to a close and the jury went and made their decision. Their decision was that Pam was guilty.
Find the defendant, Pamela Ann Phillips, guilty of conspiracy to commit first-degree murder as alleged in count 1 of the indictment. Do you find the defendant, Pamela Ann Phillips, guilty of first-degree murder as alleged in count 2 of the indictment?
Guilty on both counts. Seconds after she heard the verdict, Phillips shook her head, looking directly into the camera, something that has become trademark for Phillips since the start of the trial.
Life in prison for Pam.
An emotional, albeit angry Pamela Phillips, addressing her ex-husband, murdered Tucson businessman Gary Triano's surviving family for the very first time in court.
I just want everybody to know that I am innocent. I am innocent. I am innocent. Okay? I'm really, this is hard. It's so hard for me. It's a nightmare. It's just a nightmare. Okay, this happens a nightmare. And Gary was my husband. Okay? Gary was my husband. And
That
he
you
was
killed.
the father of my children.
You murderer. You murderer.
Everybody should know that. This is
You're
so
going
tragic.
straight to hell.
Okay? And I don't understand how this can even happen, right? But I want you all to know that.
Was the music playing in the background in the courtroom too? Because that's perfect. I want you to know that I'm single now. I'm single, ready to mingle. All right?
People that care about them. It's a tragedy for the victims in this case because the real perpetrators aren't going to be brought.
You're gonna be mingling in jail, lady. What?
And on that bombshell, well, we'll leave it there. Pam, after 17 years, was finally brought to justice. Ron, who seemed to want to get caught by just having all that evidence that just told the whole story, is right there waiting for the police. And both are not going anywhere anytime soon. So, of all the
They're
ways
both like
for
on the
an
dime, right?
obvious gold digger to get obvious life insurance, a bomb, salty at all? No? Nothing in this case was terribly cunning, which is why it's all the more surprising it took so long to kind of come together. But then again, I suppose, it's always like 2020 looking back. I mean, I'd say the work on this case was the bomb. But I shouldn't.
That was so dirty.
Thank you so much for watching.
That's crazy. You do not know who you are around. You don't know who you are around. So I would just say, just watch your surroundings. Just be careful of who you love, and just be careful. There's people who be out here trying to kill you. They straight be planning to kill you, and then before they kill you, they come and say hi to you and smile on your face. Trust nobody. Always keep one eye open, and that's just if you feel some type of way about around like certain people, just stay away from them if you have a feeling. And sometimes you just don't know, and they just straight up kill you. You didn't know about it. All right, just be careful, everybody, because people might be plotting on you to kill you. You don't know. It is wild out here. Thank you all for tuning in. I want to just go ahead and do me a favor and like and subscribe, and also comment down below and let us know what you thought about this video. And I think that is that chapter. I think, let me go back in the video. That chapter, I was right. See, I was right. It's called That Chapter. Go ahead to his page, and if you like his comment, go ahead and like and subscribe there. But most importantly, come back here and like and subscribe right now. I want to thank everybody for tuning in. It's your boy AKJ coming to you live, and I will see you next time.